Welcome to Monk's Temple. Close your eyes for a moment. Not to sleep, but to arrive. Feel the weight of your body being gently held by the chair, the floor, the earth beneath you. Notice the space between one breath and the next, a quiet doorway. For so long, you may have believed that peace waits on the other side of a finished list, a solved problem, a perfected version of yourself. You've been knocking on a future door, hoping it will open into a life that feels complete. But what if you have it backwards? What if the door isn't ahead of you at all, but beneath your feet, in this very breath? Buddhism offers a quiet revolution, not of adding more, but of gently setting down the weight you never needed to carry. Tonight, we aren't chasing a destination. We are learning how to be present for the journey itself. Let's begin by unclenching a hand you may not have even known was closed. Imagine your life is not a building under construction, waiting for a final inspection, but a garden in perpetual bloom. Some flowers are wilting, their petals falling to become soil. Over there, a green shoot, still coiled tight, is just breaking the surface. A tree stands with bare branches, while another is heavy with fruit. The gardener who looks at this scene and feels anxiety, who believes the garden is only complete when every plant is in peak flower, will live in constant disappointment. They will rush to deadhead the fading blooms, overwater the new shoots in their impatience, and miss the stark beauty of the resting tree. Buddhism teaches that our suffering often springs from applying the mind of a frantic builder to what is essentially a living, breathing garden. We want the blueprint, the deadline, the final coat of paint. We believe peace is the certificate of occupancy we get when everything is finished. But the Buddha observed the nature of reality itself. The leaves, the rivers, the seasons, the breath in our lungs, and saw only constant, graceful change. Impermanence. There is no final version of a garden, only endless, intelligent transformation. Your life is this garden. The unfinished project, the healing heart, the unanswered question, the dream still in seed form, these are not proof of failure. They are proof of life. The feeling of incompletion isn't a signal that you're behind schedule, it's the very hum of aliveness. When you cling to the idea that peace must wait for some imagined finish line, you exile yourself from the only moment you can ever actually tend to, this one. You postpone your life, waiting for a day that never comes, because the garden is always, beautifully, unfinished. Letting go is the moment you put down the builder's blueprint and pick up the gardener's gentle awareness. You walk the paths of your own life not to critique its progress, but to feel the sun on the sprouting seeds, to acknowledge the fallen leaves, to simply be present with what is, right now. The peace you seek doesn't come when the garden is done. It blossoms in the tender attention you give to it, exactly as it is. I remember visiting a small, sun-drenched studio nestled in the hills. An old potter was at his wheel, his hands caked in dry clay. He wasn't sculpting a masterpiece, just a simple, humble rice bowl. I watched as the wheel spun, and he centered the clay. But then, his fingers slipped. The wall of the bowl crumpled in on one side. I winced, expecting him to sigh, to ball up the clay and start again. But he didn't. He simply slowed the wheel. He looked at the collapsed form with a soft, curious gaze. Then, with the gentlest pressure, he began to work with the collapse. He followed the curve it wanted to make, guiding it, not forcing it back to his original plan. What emerged was not a perfect, symmetrical bowl. It was something far more interesting, a bowl with a graceful, organic dip on one side, a unique character. He smiled as he set it aside to dry. The best pieces, he said, his voice like gravel, often come from a conversation with the mistake. You have to let go of the perfect image in your head to see the beautiful shape that's actually trying to happen. Buddhism teaches us this art of the conversation. We are so often the rigid potter, clinging to the perfect image of the life, the career, the relationship we should have. When life inevitably slips, a plan fails, a heart breaks, a path closes, we see it only as ruin. We try desperately to force the clay back to a plan that no longer exists. But what if, like the old potter, we could pause? What if we could let go of the blueprint and bring a soft, curious attention to what is actually here? That collapse might not be an ending, but the beginning of a new, more authentic shape. Our perceived flaws and failures often contain the seeds of our deepest uniqueness and strength. The bowl wasn't broken, it was becoming itself. If this gentle reshaping of perspective resonates with you, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It's a simple way to tend to your own inner garden, to receive these quiet reminders to pause and breathe. Your subscription helps this space of calm to grow. There's a practice in some traditions where a person carries a heavy stone up a mountain path. With each step, the burden grows. The purpose isn't the stone itself, but to understand the nature of the weight we choose to bear. Now, picture your mind not as a mountain climber, but as a sailor on a still lake at dawn. Your boat is your life, your awareness. And in this boat, you have gathered knots. Not nautical knots, but tangled bundles of thought, knots of worry about tomorrow, knots of regret from yesterday, knots of comparison, of what if, of needing to be perfect. You've collected them over years, thinking they were part of the vessel's equipment. But these knots have weight. They sit low in the hull, and because you've grown so accustomed to their presence, you don't notice how much deeper your boat sits in the water, how sluggishly it moves, how much effort each gentle stroke of the oar requires. Buddhism helps us see these knots for what they are, unnecessary weight. We cling to them out of a strange familiarity, believing that to untie them, to let go of the worry, to release the old story of regret, would leave us empty, or unmoored. We mistake the weight for ballast, for something that keeps us stable. But true stability in a boat comes from balance, from buoyancy, from a hull that is free to ride the water, not from hauling sacks of worry. Letting go is the patient, compassionate process of untying these knots one by one and dropping them over the side. You don't do it all at once. You simply notice one. Ah, this is the knot of, I am behind. You feel its texture, see how it's tied. And with the gentle light of awareness, you begin to loosen it. It's not an act of violence, but of unwinding. As it slips free and sinks into the depths, you feel a shift. The boat rises, just a little. The water seems to support you more easily. This is the profound shift, from believing you are held down by your problems, to realizing you are held up by a fundamental awareness that was always there, beneath the weight. In a quiet town, there was a librarian who was beloved for her knowledge. But she carried a secret burden. It wasn't books. It was a list. A mental list of every book she had ever recommended that wasn't liked, every overdue fine she'd forgiven that maybe she shouldn't have, every time she'd misspoken in a meeting. She added to it daily. Forgot to order the new bestseller. Didn't smile at Mr. Henderson. The list was long, written in invisible ink on her soul, and she reviewed it every night. It was her measure of her own inadequacy. One rainy Tuesday, a young girl came in, soaked, having forgotten her library card. She needed a specific book on constellations for a project due the next day. The librarian, her own mind clouded by her list, gave a short, distracted, "It's in aisle 3, and turned back to her computer. The girl wandered off. Later, as the librarian was closing, she found the girl still there, sitting on the floor by the astronomy section, not reading, just staring out the window at the gray sky, looking utterly defeated. The book she needed was on the top shelf, just out of reach. In that moment, the librarian's mental list vanished. All that existed was a child and a book she couldn't reach. She walked over, pulled the step ladder, retrieved the book, and sat down on the floor beside her. "The clouds will clear," she said softly. "And you'll see Orion. He's always there." They looked at the pictures together for a few quiet minutes. That night, for the first time, the list didn't come. She realized she had been clinging to a chronicle of minor faults, using it to prove she was failing, while completely missing the real, present moments where life asked for her simple, unburdened attention. The list wasn't keeping her accountable, it was keeping her absent. Letting go of it wasn't about ignoring her duties, it was about showing up for them fully, with a mind clear enough to see the child on the floor. Buddhism teaches that our self-judgment is often the heaviest knot of all. When we release it, we don't become worse at our lives, we become present for them. We often speak of finding peace, as if it's a treasure buried in a distant land. But Buddhism guides us toward a different understanding: peace isn't found. It's recognized as the still water beneath the storm of our own thoughts and feelings. Imagine a deep, ancient lake. On the surface, a storm rages. Wind whips the water into frothing whitecaps. These are your anxious thoughts, your churning fears, your rushing desires. Rain lashes down, the constant patter of stimuli, news, expectations. It's chaotic, loud, and frightening. It feels like the whole world is the storm. Now, sink below the surface. Just 10 feet down. The noise muffles. The violent churning softens into a gentle, swaying current. Go deeper. 30 feet. 50. Here, there is a profound stillness. The water is cool, clear, and utterly calm. The storm rages on above, but it is a surface phenomenon. This deep, silent water, this is your awareness, your true nature. It is not disturbed by the weather on the surface. It is the anchor point of your being. Our suffering arises because we live exclusively in the storm. We identify with every wave as if it is us. I am anxious. I am angry. I am lost. We cling to the hope that the storm will permanently cease, that we can control the weather. We exhaust ourselves trying to smooth the waves with our bare hands. Buddhism doesn't ask you to stop the storm, that is the nature of the conditioned world. It invites you to discover the anchor of your awareness, to feel the stability of the deep water. Letting go is the process of releasing your grip on the surface turmoil and allowing yourself to sink into the stillness that is already there, always there, holding you. You are not the storm. You are the vast, deep lake that contains it. When you know this, you can observe the fear, the worry, the change, without drowning in it. The waves come, and the waves go. The deep water remains, unmoved. In the heart of a bustling city, there was a tiny shop that seemed to defy time. Its window was crowded with ornate clocks, grandfathers with solemn pendulums, delicate porcelain ladies, cuckoos waiting in their wooden houses. Inside, an elderly clockmaker named Elias worked. His world was one of relentless, precise ticks. Tension springs, escapements, the frantic oscillation of balances. His entire life was measured in beats per hour, in seconds gained or lost. He lived in the surface storm of time's demands. One day, a cherished antique chronometer, a ship's clock, was brought to him. It was dead silent. He worked for days, his own breath held in concentration, his shoulders tight. But he couldn't find the flaw. Frustration, a tight, hot wave, rose in him. He felt like a failure. In anger, he set the clock down a little too hard. And in the silence that followed the thud, he heard it. Not a tick, but his own heartbeat, loud in his ears. And with it, the sound of his own breath, ragged and strained. He sat back. For the first time in perhaps years, he stopped listening for ticks and simply listened to his breath. He followed its journey in and out. His shoulders, which had lived around his ears, began to soften. The frantic urgency in his chest eased. He wasn't trying to fix anything. He was just breathing. After several minutes of this strange, timeless quiet, he looked at the clock again. And his eyes, now rested and soft, went not to the gears he'd been obsessing over, but to a tiny, almost invisible hairline crack in the mainspring barrel. The problem was obvious. It had been there all along, but he couldn't see it from within the storm of his own striving. Buddhism teaches the power of mindfulness, the conscious return to the anchor of the present sensation, like the breath. Elias, by letting go of his identification with the problem and returning to the simple anchor of his breath, found the clarity that effort alone could not provide. The answer wasn't in pushing harder in the storm, it was in sinking for a moment into the calm beneath it. Our solutions, our peace, often appear not when we think harder, but when we are simply, quietly, present. Consider a clear, still mirror hanging in a sunlit room. A red rose is placed before it. The mirror reflects the rose perfectly, its vibrant color, its velvet texture, its thorns. Then the rose is taken away, and a book is put in its place. Instantly, effortlessly, the mirror reflects the book. It doesn't cling to the image of the rose. It doesn't protest, but I liked the rose better. It doesn't grow foggy with regret for what is gone. It simply, clearly, reflects what is before it now. Later, the room is empty. The mirror reflects the empty room, the dust motes dancing in a sunbeam. It doesn't panic at the emptiness, doesn't feel a lack. It remains clear, ready, present. Our mind, in its natural state, has this mirror-like quality. It can experience joy without desperately clutching it, knowing it will change. It can experience sadness without believing the sadness defines it. It can meet a new person, a new challenge, a new moment with fresh, unclouded attention. But we suffer because we ask our mirror to do something unnatural, to stick. We see a happy moment, the reflection of the rose, and we command the mirror, keep that. Make it permanent. We use the glue of attachment. And when life inevitably moves the rose, we are left with a mirror smeared with old glue, clouded and distorted, trying to see the present book through the ghost of a past rose. We live in a haunted reflection. Buddhism guides us back to the art of clear reflecting. Letting go is the gentle process of dissolving that glue of attachment. It is not becoming cold or indifferent. In fact, a clean mirror reflects more vividly, more lovingly. It means experiencing the rose with full, undivided appreciation precisely because you know it is a fleeting gift. It means when the book arrives, you can meet it with curiosity, not resentment. And when the room is empty, you can rest in the spacious, clear awareness itself, finding peace not in the objects reflected, but in the radiant, reflective capacity of your own nature. You are not the rose, nor the book, nor the emptiness. You are the awareness that holds all of it, without needing to own any of it. High in remote mountains, there was a monastery famous for a single, breathtaking fresco painted on its chapel wall. It depicted a vast, compassionate Buddha surrounded by a flowing landscape. Pilgrims traveled for weeks to see it. A young monk, Ananda, was given the sacred duty of its caretaker. He loved it with a ferocious pride. He dusted it meticulously, controlled the humidity in the room, and shooed away birds that might nest too close. But the fresco was ancient, painted with mineral pigments on plaster. Slowly, inevitably, it began to fade. A patch of green forest in the corner softened to a pale hint. The vermilion of a robe lost its fire. Ananda was devastated. He saw each fading hue as a personal failure. He tried gentle, expert restoration, but it was like trying to hold back the tide. He became anxious, sleepless, clinging desperately to the image as it was in his memory. One afternoon, the old abbot found him staring miserably at the wall. "It's leaving," Ananda whispered, his voice thick. The abbot looked at the wall, then at the soft light streaming through a high window. It fell across the faded section, illuminating not the lost pigment, but the beautiful, textured grain of the ancient plaster beneath, creating patterns of light and shadow that looked like rolling mist. "The mirror is clearing," the abbot said softly. Ananda looked at him, confused. For centuries, the abbot continued, the mirror of this wall reflected a beautiful image. We clung to it. Now, the image is fading. The mirror is showing us something else, the wall itself, the play of light, the passage of time. It is all still the Dharma. It is all still truth. Are you caring for the fresco, or are you caring for the wall that holds it? In that moment, Ananda let go. He stopped clinging to the fixed image of the past. He began to see beauty in the fade, the humility of impermanence made visible. He cared for the wall, and in doing so, he saw the fresco not as a dying object, but as a living lesson in non-attachment. The teaching wasn't damaged, it was deepening. Buddhism shows us that when we cling to form, we miss the essence. Sometimes, letting go of how something should look allows us to see the profound beauty of how it truly is. We often approach life as a walker at a constant series of forks in the road. This way leads to success, that way to failure. This choice means happiness, that one means regret. We stand paralyzed, trying to peer down each path to its imaginary end, burdened by the illusion that one is right and the other's wrong. Our identity gets tied to these choices. I am a person who chose X. Our fear of the wrong turn becomes a prison. Buddhism offers a radical reimagining. What if there is no fork? What if there is only a single, winding path, and your entire journey is simply the act of walking it truthfully? The choices aren't selections between pre-made destinies, but organic movements of your whole being in response to the terrain. A fallen tree blocks the way, you go around. A river appears, you find a crossing. A meadow opens up, you rest. You are not choosing between obstacle and meadow. You are walking, and meeting what is there. Letting go, here, is the release of the map of right and wrong choices. It is the unclenching of the mental fist that demands a guarantee before taking a step. It is trusting that the wisdom to navigate, to go around the tree, to find the crossing, is not found in a future prediction, but in your present moment awareness. When you walk this way, every step is the path. The so-called mistake, the muddy shoe, the scraped knee from a fall, isn't a wrong turn off the path, it's part of the path's texture. It's feedback from the terrain, teaching you how to walk more skillfully. You stop asking, is this the right path, and start asking, am I walking with awareness? This question changes everything. It frees you from the tyranny of the hypothetical future and plants your authority firmly in the reality of the present step. Your life is not a test with a failing grade. It is a journey of learning through direct experience. The goal is not to arrive at a specific destination unblemished, but to be fully alive for every single step of the walk. Leah set out to hike a famous, rugged trail with a detailed map, a planned itinerary, and a goal to complete it in record time. She was a destination person. But on the third day, a sudden, drenching storm swept through. She took shelter, but her pack, with the map and itinerary, was swept away by a swollen creek. Panic seized her. She was lost. All her markers were gone. For a full day, she wandered in despair, seeing every unfamiliar tree as a threat. Exhausted, she finally collapsed by a stream. With no map to consult, she had no choice but to actually look. Really look. She noticed the way the moss grew thicker on the north side of the trees. She saw the subtle downward slope of the land leading to the sound of larger water. She tasted the air for the saltiness that might mean the ocean was near. She began to move not according to a plan, but according to a quiet, attentive conversation with the forest itself. Days passed. She learned to find food she'd never have noticed before. She slept when tired, walked when strong. She wasn't hiking a trail anymore, she was being in a forest. The anxiety of being lost slowly melted into a profound, if challenging, presence. She realized she wasn't lost from the trail, she was simply in the forest. And the forest was full of guidance, if she stopped insisting it looked like her map. When she finally emerged, weeks later, at a small coastal village, she was a different person. She hadn't completed the planned path, but she had completed a deeper journey. She had let go of the external authority of the map and discovered the internal compass of awareness. Buddhism teaches that our plans and identities are like that map. Useful, perhaps, but not the territory itself. When we cling to them too tightly, a storm can shatter our world. But if we have the courage to let go, we might just find that we were never truly lost. We were only being asked to learn a more intimate, truthful way of navigating, one mindful step at a time. We are taught to admire the mighty oak, strong, rigid, unyielding. It stands against the storm until, one day, a wind of unusual force comes, and it cracks, its deep roots torn from the earth. Now, observe the bamboo. It bends deeply, its hollow stalks bowing almost to the ground under the same wind. It does not resist. It yields. And when the storm passes, it swings back upright, unharmed, its roots intact, perhaps even stronger for the dance. We often confuse strength with rigidity. We build identities like fortresses. I am a successful person. I am always in control. I am the rock for everyone. We cling to these self-concepts as if they are armor. But life is change. A wind comes, a loss, a failure, a surprise, that doesn't fit our fortress identity. And we suffer terribly, feeling our very self is under attack. We try to stand rigid, to deny the change, and we risk breaking. Buddhism teaches the superior strength of flexibility, of non-self. This isn't a loss of identity, but an expansion beyond a fragile, fixed idea of who you are. Letting go is the practice of becoming more like bamboo. It is releasing your grip on, I am this, or I am that. It is allowing yourself to bend with experience. To feel grief without becoming a grief-stricken person, to feel joy without clinging to it as a new permanent state, to fail without cementing that into, I am a failure. Your true strength lies not in the unchanging facade, but in the resilient, aware space that can accommodate all weather. When you are the bamboo, you don't fear the storm, because you know how to move with it. Your core is not a rigid story, but a flexible, conscious presence. This is the foundation of real resilience. You are not betrayed by change, you are adaptable to it. Your worth is not tied to maintaining a specific form, but to the vibrant, responsive life force that can take many forms. Let go of the oak's pride. Embrace the bamboo's wise humility. Ilara had been a ballet dancer since she could walk. Her identity was endpoint, in the perfect lines, the rigid discipline, the unwavering pursuit of a specific, classical ideal. She was, Ilara the ballerina, a statue of grace and control. Then, in her mid-20s, a chronic injury in her ankle ended her classical career. The doctor said she could still dance, but not like that. To her, it was a death sentence. The oak of her identity had snapped. She fell into a deep depression, feeling she had lost herself entirely. For months, she didn't enter a studio. Finally, out of a sheer, desperate loneliness for movement, she dragged herself to a free-form movement class. There was no routine, no right or wrong. Just music and space. The first class was agony. Her body automatically tried to force ballet positions, which caused pain. She felt clumsy, ugly, a fraud. She clung to the ghost of her old form. One day, the teacher put on a piece of music that was all wild drums and wind sounds. Forget you have a body, the teacher said. Just be the weather. Something broke open in Ilara. Exhausted from clinging, she let go. She stopped trying to be a ballerina. She let her injured ankle move only as it could. She became the rain, lashing, then the slow, drifting fog, then a calm, sun-warmed breeze. She wasn't performing steps, she was expressing sensation. For the first time since her injury, she felt like she was dancing. Not ballet, but something more primal, more truly hers. She had transitioned from the rigid oak of ballerina to the flexible bamboo of a being who moves. Her strength was no longer in perfect turnout, but in her profound capacity to adapt, to find a new way to express the language of her soul through her changed body. Buddhism teaches that clinging to a fixed self causes suffering when life changes. Ilara's healing began not when she fixed her ankle, but when she let go of the rigid dancer and discovered the fluid, expressive being that had always been there, waiting to move in a new way. We walk through life with a deep-seated desire for open doors. The job offer, the yes from a loved one, the green light on our plans. We see these as life's gifts, and we cling to them fiercely. Conversely, we perceive closed doors, rejection, failure, loss, a plan collapsing, as punishments, as thefts, as evidence that life is against us. We stand and pound on them in frustration, or we collapse before them in despair, personalizing the closure. Why is this happening to me? Buddhism invites a profound shift in perspective. What if the closed door is not a foe, but a fierce and compassionate guide? Imagine you are walking down a corridor with many doors. You are intent on reaching a room you've imagined at the end, a room called success or certainty. You rush toward it, but a door slams shut right in front of you, blocking your way. Your immediate reaction is anger and grief. But what if that door closed because the floor beyond it had collapsed into a pit? What if the room you were rushing toward was on fire? The closed door, in its sudden, jarring way, protected you. Letting go is the practice of stopping your fight with the closed door. It is turning away from the futile pounding and looking around. When you do, you might notice a smaller, humble door to the side you'd never have considered, leading to a sunlit garden. Or you might realize the corridor itself is beautiful, and you can simply sit and rest for a while. The closed door forces a cessation of your headlong rush. It creates a space for awareness, for a new direction you were too single-minded to see. Life is intelligent. It is not a capricious judge. Impermanence ensures that doors close. It is the nature of all conditional things to end. Our suffering comes not from the closing, but from our interpretation of it as a personal failure or a cosmic no. When you let go of that story, you can meet the closed door with curiosity instead of condemnation. What is this protecting me from? What new attention is it asking of me? What simpler, truer path is now available? The redirection is not a demotion. It is often a course correction toward a wholeness your striving self couldn't yet imagine. Sam loved his small bakery. His signature was a dense, dark rye loaf with a precise pattern slashed on top. He submitted it to a prestigious, Best Artisan Loaf competition, sure it would win. It was rejected in the first round. The feedback was vague, doesn't meet our current vision. He was crushed. That loaf was his identity, his dream door. He saw the rejection as a verdict, you are not a good baker. He clung to his anger and shame, baking the rye loaf with a bitter heart, his passion soured. A few weeks later, an elderly woman from a local nursing home came in. She bought a simple white roll. As she turned to leave, she said softly, almost to herself, "My hands aren't strong like they used to be. I miss the bread from my childhood in Sicily. Soft, with a little olive oil and salt. Nothing fancy." She left. Her words hung in the air. Sam, in his defeated state, had nothing else to pour his energy into. Almost absently, the next day, he tried to make that soft, simple bread. He had no expectations. It was just something to do. He focused on the feel of the dough, the smell of the olive oil, the warmth of the oven. It was a meditation. When he pulled the first golden, pillowy loaf out, the simplicity of it surprised him. It was beautiful in a completely different way. He brought a few loaves, still warm, to the nursing home and gave them to the woman. The look on her face, a pure, tearful joy of remembrance, struck him deeper than any trophy ever could. He started making more simple, nostalgic breads. Milk bread for the Korean community, soda bread for the Irish. His shop, once focused on a single, competition-worthy door, became a vibrant, beloved community hearth. The closed door of the competition hadn't ended his dream, it had shattered his narrow idea of what that dream should look like. It forced him to stop staring at the rejection and look around at the real, hungry people right beside him. His true calling was not to win awards, but to feed hearts. The no from the competition was the greatest yes to his authentic purpose he could have received. We spend much of our lives in a state of mental clutter. It's as if the room of our heart is filled from wall to wall with furniture, the heavy armchair of an old grudge, the wobbly table of insecurity, the crowded shelves of others' opinions, the locked trunks of past regrets. We navigate this room with difficulty, squeezing between obstacles, stubbing our toes in the dark. We feel anxious and confined, but we cling to these items, believing they are part of who we are. This grudge protects me. This insecurity keeps me humble. Buddhism invites us to a grand, gentle clearing. Letting go is the process of moving this furniture out, piece by piece. It's not a violent eviction, but a mindful asking, does this still serve the peace of this room? You drag the heavy armchair of the grudge to the door. It's hard work, it's been there a long time. But as it leaves, light floods a corner you hadn't seen in years. You carry out the wobbly table. The floor space expands. With each item released, the room becomes more spacious, more airy, more filled with light. You begin to realize this room, your innate awareness, your heart-mind, is vast. It was never meant to be a storage unit. It was meant to be a sanctuary, a place of rest and clear seeing. The clutter was never part of the architecture. It was just stuff you accumulated and mistaken for structure. As the space clears, you discover features that were always there, a window that looks out on compassion, a hearth of inner warmth, a sense of profound, unshakable okayness that doesn't depend on any of the furniture. This spaciousness is not emptiness. It is readiness. It is capacity. It allows you to host experiences, joy, sorrow, challenge, without them becoming permanent fixtures. A guest of grief may visit, but it doesn't get to move its sofa in. A celebration arrives, and there is room to dance. You are no longer defined by the clutter, but grounded in the spaciousness that holds it all. This is your true home. Returning to it, again and again, through the practice of letting go, is the journey of a lifetime. Maya lived in a cottage on a high ocean bluff. Her great sorrow was that her view of the sea was completely blocked by a thick, overgrown tangle of thorny bushes and twisted trees she'd inherited with the property. She saw it as a symbol of her own blocked life. Every day, she would go out and hack at it with clippers, fighting it. But it grew back faster than she could cut. She clung to the belief that her peace depended on destroying this wall. One particularly frustrating day, she threw down her clippers and, in exhaustion, simply climbed the old, rickety observation tower that stood in her yard, a relic she'd never used. Pulling herself up the creaking ladder, she emerged above the canopy of the tangled growth. And there, she gasped. The view was breathtaking. The endless Pacific stretched to the horizon, meeting a vast, dramatic sky. Whales spouted in the distance. The entire blockade was below her, and from this height, it looked small, even beautiful in its wildness, a green, textured rug leading to the cliff's edge. She had been so attached to fighting the barrier at ground level, she'd forgotten she could change her perspective. She didn't need to destroy the thicket to see the ocean, she just needed to rise above her identification with the struggle. She started spending her evenings in the tower, watching the sunset. The thicket didn't go away, but it ceased to be her enemy. It became simply part of the landscape, viewed from a place of spacious awareness. Buddhism teaches that we often fight our internal thickets, our anxieties, our flaws, our past, believing we must eradicate them to find peace. But the practice of meditation and mindful awareness is like climbing that inner tower. It doesn't remove the difficult thoughts and feelings, but it gives you a higher vantage point. From the spaciousness of pure awareness, you see them as part of the landscape of your life, not as the totality of it. You let go of the war with the thicket and rest in the vast, open sky of your own true nature. The peace was never on the other side of the struggle. It was always here, in the clarity of the view from above. Watch a river flow. It moves constantly, never the same water from one moment to the next. It doesn't clutch at a passing bubble, trying to keep it. It doesn't try to hold back a leaf swirling in an eddy. The water simply moves, surrendering each drop to the journey, trusting the flow. The river's identity isn't in the specific molecules of H2O it contains at noon, its identity is in the flowing, the channel, the living movement itself. We, however, live as if we are a stagnant pond, desperately trying to keep the same water, the same lily pads, the same conditions forever. We grasp at pleasant experiences, trying to freeze them in place. We push away unpleasant ones, trying to dam them out. We cling to relationships, roles, and self-images as if they are the permanent contents of our being. This grasping and pushing is the source of our dukkha, our suffering. Buddhism guides us toward becoming the river, not the pond. Letting go is the practice of relaxing the grasp, of allowing life to flow through us. It means feeling joy without the secondary thought, I must keep this forever. It means feeling sadness without the story, this sadness is me and will never end. You are not the passing waters of your thoughts, emotions, and experiences. You are the conscious space through which they flow. Your true nature is the awareness that observes the bubble rise and pop, the leaf spin and drift away. When you know yourself as the river, you participate fully in life without the exhausting burden of ownership and control. You love deeply, but you don't cling, because you understand that love is a quality of your awareness, not a possession of the other person. You work diligently, but you are not destroyed by setbacks, because your worth is not trapped in the outcome. You become resilient, adaptable, and profoundly at peace, because you are aligned with the fundamental nature of reality. Flow, not stasis. You let life be life, and in that surrender, you find your freedom. Koji was a master of the Japanese tea ceremony. Every movement was precise, every item in its place. His identity was in the perfection of the ritual, the unblemished bowl, the exact whisking pattern, the serene atmosphere. He clung to this ideal as his source of worth. One day, a revered but very old teacher came to visit. Koji performed the ceremony with flawless precision, his heart swelling with pride. At the end, he presented the bowl of tea. The old teacher's hands were trembling with age. As he took the bowl, it slipped. The precious, centuries-old ceramic struck the tatami mat and cracked. The perfect tea spilled. Koji's world shattered with it. He saw not an accident, but the ruin of his perfect offering, a stain on his identity. He froze, a storm of grief and anger in his chest. The old teacher looked at the cracked bowl, the spreading stain. Then he looked at Koji's stricken face. Slowly, gently, he righted the bowl. He picked up the ladle, dipped it into the water vessel, and poured a little clean water into the broken cup. He swirled it, cleaning the remaining tea leaves. Then, with immense care, he lifted the cracked, water-filled bowl. He drank from it. He smiled, a smile of deep, quiet contentment. Sometimes, he said, his voice like rustling paper, the most perfect tea is the one that reminds us everything is breakable. The ceremony is not in the bowl, but in the heart that receives what is given, even when it is broken. In that moment, Koji let go. The rigid ideal of perfection shattered, and what remained was a deeper truth. The essence of the ceremony was presence, compassion, and acceptance, not flawless form. His identity as the perfect master flowed away. What began to flow in its place was humility, and a more genuine mastery. The ability to find beauty and meaning even in the broken, the spilled, the imperfect. He learned that clinging to the ideal had kept him from the real, messy, beautiful human experience of the moment. The true tea was always in the drinking, not in the vessel. In a dark room, a single candle burns. We are drawn to the flame, its dance, its warmth, its light. We identify with it. I am the flame, we think. I must be bright, I must be warm, I must keep burning at all costs. We fear the wind, because it might extinguish us. We cling to the wick and the wax, our fuel, with desperation. Our entire sense of being is tied to this fragile, flickering form. But now, shift your attention. The flame is dependent, conditional. It needs wax, oxygen, a wick. It is born, it changes, it will go out. Now, notice the light that fills the room. The light is not the flame itself. The flame is the source, but the light is the effect, the radiance. When the candle is gone, the light in the room vanishes, yes. But does that mean light itself is extinguished? No. Open the shutters at dawn, and the room is flooded with a new, different light, sunlight. The light from the candle, the light from the sun, they are different in source and quality, but they share the essential nature of illumination. Buddhism points us toward that essential nature, not the temporary flame. We cling to the flame of our personality, our achievements, our relationships, our body. We think, this is me. And we suffer because all flames are impermanent. Letting go is the profound realization, I am not the flame. I am the capacity for light. Your true nature is the aware, luminous consciousness that knows the flame, that experiences the warmth, the flicker, the eventual cooling. It is the space in which the drama of you as a separate flame plays out. This doesn't devalue your human experience. It liberates it. When you know yourself as the light, you can appreciate the flame, your unique life, fully, without the terror of its inevitable end. You can burn clearly and brightly, not because you're fighting extinction, but because that is the natural expression of light in this particular form. And when this candle of a lifetime finally burns down, you understand that the light of awareness does not die with it. It simply withdraws from this particular manifestation, this particular room. This knowing brings a peace that is not passive, but deeply courageous, the courage to be a beautiful, temporary flame, while resting in the eternal truth of the light that you truly are. Finn was the keeper of a solitary lighthouse on a storm-racked island. His identity was his duty. I keep the light burning. I save lives. He clung to this role with a sailor's grim determination. The light was his flame, and he was its protector. One winter, a hurricane of historic force hit. The waves were mountains. The wind screamed like a banshee. He did everything by the book, but the storm was too powerful. A colossal wave smashed the lantern room. The great Fresnel lens shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. The light went out. In the howling dark, Finn felt a despair so total he thought it would kill him. Without the light, who was he? He had failed. He was nothing. He huddled in the stone tower, waiting for the sounds of shipwrecks he was sure would come. But the storm raged on, and he heard no crashes. As the first gray light of dawn seeped through the broken windows, he ventured out onto the gallery. The sea was still furious, but empty. And then he saw why. The entire coastline, for miles, was shrouded in such an impenetrable fog that no ship would have dared come near. His light, even if it had been burning, would have been invisible. A strange calm settled over him. The storm that took his light had also provided the fog that made it unnecessary. His clinging to the identity of the one who keeps the light had been so tight, he couldn't see the larger intelligence of the moment. His role was conditional, dependent on weather and circumstance. But his purpose, safety, awareness, vigilance, that remained. That purpose didn't die with the lens. In the days that followed, with the light gone, he used the lighthouse's powerful radio to warn ships of the fog bank, something he'd rarely done before. He found a new way to fulfill his essential purpose. He had let go of the specific form of his flame, the glass and brass of the lamp, and discovered that the light of his care could express itself in other ways. Buddhism teaches that our roles, our achievements, even our bodies, are like that lighthouse lantern, precious but breakable instruments. When we cling to them as our self, their breaking feels like death. But when we identify with the purpose, the awareness, the care itself, we find we are adaptable. The form may shatter, but the essence finds a new way to shine. Consider a seed. It is a perfect, self-contained unit. It has a hard shell, protecting its potential. For it to become what it is meant to be, it must be buried in the dark, damp earth. It must let go of its form as a seed. The shell must crack open, a kind of death. The tender shoot inside must push upward through heavy soil, toward a light it has never seen, on faith alone. It doesn't cling to the safety of its shell. It doesn't protest the darkness. It surrenders to the process of becoming. We are like seeds clinging to our shells. Our shell is our comfort zone, our familiar identity, our known story about who we are. We think safety lies in maintaining this intact, controlled form. Growth, however, real, spiritual growth, requires the shell to crack. It requires a surrender into a kind of darkness, the uncertainty of not knowing who you are becoming, the discomfort of change, the feeling of being buried under circumstances you didn't choose. Buddhism teaches that this cracking is not punishment, it is the necessary precondition for awakening. Letting go is the courage to allow the shell to split. It is the willingness to be in the dark soil of not knowing, to feel the pressure, and still push upward on faith. The seed does not become the soil, it uses the soil to transform. Similarly, you don't become your problems, you use the nutrients of your experience, even the painful ones, to transform into something more expansive. The peace you seek is not inside the uncracked seed. It is in the flourishing of the plant that results from the brave surrender. When you cling to the seed form, you are choosing a small, contained safety over the vast, risky beauty of your own blossoming. Trust the intelligence of life that placed this potential within you. The cracking is not the end of you, it is the beginning of the truer you. Let go of the shell. Agree to be planted. A renowned sculptor was commissioned to create a statue of a dancing figure for a town square. A magnificent block of pure white marble was delivered to his studio. For weeks, he did nothing but walk around it, touch it, sketch it. His assistants grew impatient. "When will you begin?" they asked. He would just smile. He was not hesitating out of fear. He was listening. He was letting go of his own preconceived ideas to hear what the marble itself wanted to become. Finally, one morning, he picked up his point chisel and made a single, decisive tap. A small chip flew off. Then another. He wasn't carving a statue into the marble, he was, as he later said, freeing the dancer that was already inside, waiting for me to remove everything that wasn't her. Our minds are like that sculptor with a block of marble that represents all our conditioning, our stories, our fears, our clinging. We think we must build a good life, a good self, from scratch. Buddhism suggests a different approach. Your true, awakened nature is already whole and complete within you, like the dancing figure in the stone. It is obscured by the excess, the clinging thoughts, the rigid identities, the attachments. Letting go is not about building a new you. It is the mindful, patient chipping away of everything that isn't you. Each time you release a grudge, a judgment, a fear, a piece of the "I should be" story, you are not losing something essential. You are removing a piece of the obscuring marble. The tap of the chisel might feel like a loss, even a shock. But it is a movement toward greater clarity, toward revealing the graceful, authentic form that was always there, waiting in the silence of the stone. Your work is not to create, but to unveil. To let go, chip by chip, of all that hides your true nature. Shout into a deep canyon. A moment later, your own voice comes back to you as an echo. For a brief time, the sound hangs in the air, a reflection of your original action. But it doesn't last. It fades, dissolving back into the vast silence of the canyon from which it came. The silence was there before the shout, it receives the echo, and it remains after the echo is gone. Your thoughts, emotions, and sensory experiences are like these echoes. A thought arises, "I'm not good enough," it's your mental shout. It reverberates in the space of your mind. If you cling to it, if you believe it, you are trying to hold on to the echo, to make it permanent. You give it power, and it seems to distort the silence. But the essential nature of the canyon is not the echo, it is the silent, spacious awareness that allows the echo to be heard and then fade. Buddhism trains us to rest as the silence, not to chase the echoes. Letting go is the practice of allowing the echo to complete its journey. To arise, to be heard, and to fade without you grabbing it and shouting it back into the canyon. You notice the thought of worry, but you don't build a nest for it. You feel the pang of sadness, but you don't write its biography. You simply return your attention to the silent, listening space that is your ground of being. This silence is not empty or dead. It is vibrantly alive, pregnant with potential. It is the source from which clarity, compassion, and wise action can arise naturally, like a pure note, not a distorted echo. When you know yourself as this silence, you are no longer at the mercy of the mental and emotional noise. The storms of thought come and go, but the sky-like nature of your awareness remains, clear and undisturbed. Your home is not in the changing weather of the echoes, but in the constant, welcoming silence that holds them all. In a village known for its weavers, there was a woman named Alya who could create tapestries of breathtaking beauty. But she was plagued by perfectionism. She would weave a section, then scrutinize it under a bright lamp, finding a single thread out of place, a color a shade too bold. She would painstakingly pick out the flaw, often damaging the surrounding weave. Her progress was agonizingly slow, and her joy in creation had turned to dread. She clung to an ideal of flawless perfection that existed only in her mind. One day, an earthquake shook the village. It was minor, but in Alya's studio, her current tapestry, months of labor, slipped from its frame and landed in a puddle of dye. It was ruined, a muddled mess of colors. She sank to the floor, utterly defeated. The perfect image she'd been clinging to was not just flawed, it was obliterated. Weeks later, in a fog of grief, she picked up the stained cloth. Instead of seeing ruin, her exhausted eyes, free from the demand for perfection, began to see interesting patterns in the accidental dye stains. On a whim, she started to weave into the stain, using its chaotic colors as a new background. She let go of all plans and simply responded to what was in front of her. She incorporated loose threads, added textures she'd never considered. The piece became wild, improvisational, alive in a way her controlled work never was. When it was finished, it didn't look like her other tapestries. It was more raw, more truthful. And it moved people in a deeper way. They saw not perfect technique, but a story of collapse and rebirth, of surrender and creativity. Alya had let go of the echo of perfect weaver, and fallen into the silent, creative space where true art is born, not from control, but from a dialogue with what is, even when it's a stain. Her greatest work emerged not from clinging to an ideal, but from letting go of it completely and trusting the intelligence of the moment, however messy. The Persian poet Rumi wrote, "This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. Joy, depression, meanness, a momentary awareness, all are unexpected visitors. He advises, welcome and entertain them all." This is a beautiful expression of the Buddhist principle of non-resistance. We usually treat our inner world like a fortress with a strict guest list. We fling open the door for joy, confidence, and peace. We try to slam it shut on sadness, fear, and doubt. We cling to the good guests and wage war against the bad ones. But in doing so, we exhaust the doorman, our ego, and live in a state of constant tension, fearing the next knock. Letting go, in this metaphor, is firing the anxious doorman and becoming the spacious, hospitable house itself. You allow every guest to enter. You don't necessarily give the angry guest the keys to the library, but you offer it a cup of tea in the front room. You listen. Ah, fear is here. It feels tight in the chest. Hello. You don't merge with it, you host it. You don't cling to joy when it visits, begging it to move in forever. You enjoy its company while it's there, and wave goodbye gracefully when it leaves. Buddhism teaches that each guest has a message, a purpose. Depression might be telling you to rest. Anger might be pointing to a boundary that needs setting. Anxiety might be highlighting an attachment to control. When you stop clinging to or pushing away these visitors, you can receive their teachings. They come, they stay a while, and they leave, because all states are impermanent. Your identity is not any single guest, it is the vast, welcoming space that can accommodate them all without being destroyed. This is equanimity. This is the peace that surpasses the comings and goings of the weather within. At a remote crossroads in the desert, there was a small inn. The innkeeper, Kale, had seen every type of traveler, the boastful, the broken, the joyous pilgrims, the silent fugitives. Early in his tenure, he tried to judge who was worthy of his best rooms. He clung to the pleasant guests and resented the difficult ones, his mood swinging with their temperaments. One fierce sandstorm, a band of rough-looking mercenaries demanded shelter. They were loud, demanding, and tracked mud everywhere. Kale served them with a stiff, unhappy manner. That same night, a quiet, dust-covered sage also arrived. Kale, relieved, gave him his finest room and his fullest attention, hoping for wise conversation. In the morning, the mercenaries left without incident, tossing a generous payment on the table. The sage, however, was gone without a trace, and had stolen the silver candlesticks from the dining hall. Kale was stunned. His judgment had been completely backwards. He realized his mistake. He was trying to control the atmosphere of his inn by controlling the guests. He decided to change. He became simply the host. To the boisterous, he provided sturdy tables and ale. To the sorrowful, a quiet corner and a listening ear. To the thief, he would have provided a bed and a meal, while wisely locking up the silver. He stopped clinging to his preferences and simply offered consistent, attentive hospitality to whoever arrived. His inner peace became independent of his guests. The inn was no longer a reflection of the travelers, it was a steady, calm haven for the travelers, in all their human variety. Buddhism teaches us to be like Kale. Our inner peace doesn't depend on only hosting good thoughts and feelings. It depends on our capacity to be a steady, compassionate space for whatever arises, meeting each guest with appropriate attention, but never losing ourselves in their drama. The inn remains, steadfast, through all the comings and goings. We often live as if we are constantly writing a letter to the world, or to ourselves, titled, "This is who I am." We fill it with our accomplishments, our failures, our roles, our opinions, our stories of hurt and triumph. We cling to this letter, editing it constantly, defending its contents. We believe this document is our self. We present it for validation and fear its criticism. Now, imagine placing that dense, tightly written letter on a stream. Watch the water splash over it. The ink begins to run. The words blur together, becoming illegible. The paper softens, then dissolves into pulp, and a stream carries it away. What remains? Not a blank page, but the flowing water itself, clear and unimpeded. Buddhism points to this water, the ever-fresh, present-moment awareness, as your true nature. The letter was just a story, a collection of conditioned thoughts frozen in time. Letting go is the willingness to let the stream of present experience dissolve that old, fixed narrative. It doesn't mean you have no history or personality. It means you are no longer imprisoned by the summary of it. You are free to experience this moment without the filter of the old letter. Without the clutched document, you can write anew in each moment, not with pen and ink, but with your choices, your attention, your presence. Your identity becomes a verb, not a noun, a process of conscious being, not a fixed biography. This is incredibly liberating. You are no longer defending a past version of yourself. You are available to meet life as it is, right now, with a beginner's mind. The story of me was just a raft to cross a river. Once across, would you cling to the raft, or would you set it down and walk freely on the new shore? Let go of the letter. Be the flowing stream. Theron was a cartographer in an age of exploration. His maps were works of art and science, defining the known world. He derived his worth from their accuracy, their completeness. He clung to them as truth. Then, he joined an expedition to a vast, unmapped archipelago. The old maps were useless here. Every time they rounded a headland, a new island appeared, defying his attempts to fit it into a known schema. He grew frustrated, trying to force the new reality onto his old parchment. One night, a lamp was knocked over in his tent. His precious portfolio of reference maps, his life's work, caught fire and was consumed. He watched, horrified, as the known world turned to ash. The next morning, he stood on the deck, empty-handed. With nothing to cling to, he was forced to simply look. To see the shapes of the islands as they were, not as he expected them to be. He picked up a fresh piece of parchment and began to sketch, not from memory, but from pure, direct observation. What emerged was a map unlike any he had ever made. It was alive, tentative, full of "here there be wonders" in the blank spaces. It was humble. It was true. He realized his old maps hadn't been the world, they were just faded echoes of it. The real territory was always this immediate, startling, present-moment experience. By losing everything he clung to, he found a more authentic way to engage with reality, openly, curiously, without the filter of past knowledge. He became a true explorer, not just a recorder. Buddhism invites this same journey, to let the conceptual maps of self and world burn away in the light of direct experience, and to find the courage to draw anew from the fresh, unfiltered truth of each moment. In a still room, a bell is struck. A single, pure tone rings out. At first, it is strong and clear. Then, it begins to fade. The sound doesn't vanish abruptly, it dissolves, lingering as a vibration, then a memory of a vibration, then silence. The entire cycle, the strike, the ring, the decay, the silence, is one complete, beautiful event. Our lives are a series of such bells being struck. A birth, a meeting, a success, a loss, a conversation, a sunset. Each is a moment with its own beginning, middle, and end. Suffering arises when we try to cling to the peak of the ring. We want the joy of a moment to last forever at full volume. We try to muffle the bell of a painful experience, to stop it from ringing at all. We resist the natural decay into silence, because we mistake the silence for emptiness or loss. Buddhism teaches us to listen to the whole bell. To let the strike happen. To allow the full, rich ring to resonate without grabbing it. To honor the decay, the fading, as an integral part of the beauty. And to rest in the silence that follows, which is not nothingness, but a fertile ground ready for the next note. Letting go is this full-spectrum listening. It is appreciating the moment without demanding its stay, and accepting its passing without telling a story of deprivation. When you listen in this way, you stop fragmenting your experience into good, the loud ring, and bad, the silence. You see the wholeness of the arc. You understand that to have the beauty of the ring, you must also accept the beauty of the silence that frames it. Each complete cycle is a microcosm of impermanence, a perfect teaching in non-attachment. Your life is not one long, sustained note. It is a profound and moving symphony of individual bells, each one perfect in its coming and going. Your peace lies in listening to the whole psalm, not just clinging to your favorite parts. We began by looking for a door to peace, thinking it was ahead of us. We've traveled through gardens and storms, mirrors and rivers, boats and bamboo. We've hosted guests and listened to bells. And where has it all led? Not to a new place, but back to the only place it ever could, here. This here is the meeting place. It is not a halfway point between where you were and where you want to be. It is the ground of being itself. It is the awareness that reads these words, feels the breath, hears the ambient sound in the room. Life meets you here, not because you chased it down, but because you stopped running away from the present moment. Buddhism does not offer a magic spell to make the hard bells stop ringing or the difficult guests stop visiting. It offers something far more sustainable, a radical friendship with the entirety of your experience. It offers the understanding that you are the spacious awareness capable of holding it all, the joy and the sorrow, the clarity and the confusion, the becoming and the letting go, without being shattered by any of it. You were never late. You were never broken. You were never abandoned. You were learning, through the direct experience of clinging and releasing, what you truly are. You are not the runner in the race. You are the awareness witnessing the run, and the ground upon which it takes place. You are both the dancer and the dance floor. Letting go, then, is not a one-time achievement. It is a moment-to-moment homecoming. It is the gentle, continuous returning of your attention from the stories of past and future to the alive, vibrant reality of now. It is choosing, again and again, to meet life exactly where you are, with an open hand and a soft heart. So, as we close, feel your feet on the floor. Feel the breath coming and going, all on its own. This is it. This is the meeting place. Life is here, meeting you, not halfway, but completely. You don't need to chase it, prove yourself to it, or fear losing it. You simply need to show up, as you are, and let go of everything that tells you this moment isn't enough. Welcome home. Thank you for being here, at Monk's Temple. May you carry this sense of meeting, of presence, with you. May you be gentle with yourself on the path. Good night.